Hello there, welcome to the race notebook for the 2019 Russian Grand Prix. And thank you, Sochi. That was a good one, better than we normally have round here, except for the fact that we couldn't hear the Russian national anthem on the grid. All I could hear on the grid, and I hope you heard it at home because it is one of the best ones. It's essentially the only reason why I come to Russia is to hear the Russian national anthem and join in full chorus. Hunt for Red October, basically. It would seem that there was some sort of silent propulsion system that rendered the Russian national anthem completely undetectable to the human ear on the grid. All I could hear was grid trolleys. I could see on the TV that someone was singing it. A rather jolly-looking man, but we couldn't hear it. Anyway, never mind. Couldn't even get a ping for my thoughts. One ping only, Vasily, but never mind. Still, it was an entertaining race, and the sun starts to set on the Sochi hills just behind us. It's starting to cool off here on the Black Sea, and well, we've seen some sort of Olympic performance, haven't we? That was all good fun, but it has ended in a win for Lewis Hamilton and a second for Valtteri Bottas. So Mercedes, who are just limbering up for the team photo here, have another win and another 1-2, and they keep their 100% record at the Russian Grand Prix here in Sochi. Ferrari gave it a good go, but in the end they were undone by their own odd sort of pre-race plans. Their own MG UK, that's the motor generator unit Kinetic, part of the hybrid system. I'll explain exactly what happened with Sebastian's car in a little bit. That led to a safety car, which opened the door for Lewis Hamilton to win. That led to another pit stop for Charles Leclerc. That led to Valtteri Bottas being second. And there you go with the trophies there. And, well, I don't know. How do you think those trophies are? They look all right, don't they? Sort of, there's a 1, there's a 2, and there's one for the constructors as well. But let's go through it, and maybe we can come back and see what happens in the photo in a little bit. But not a great start for Lewis Hamilton. Down to P3 from P2 on the grid, while Sebastian Vettel drafted Charles Leclerc, his teammate, fought Charles Leclerc, his teammate, did Vettel, and then took the lead. But Hamilton kept up the pressure, and it paid off when, as I say, there was the virtual safety car for Vettel conking out, and that meant that Hamilton took the lead because he could do a pit stop, and rather than it cost 25 seconds, because of course everybody else is going slowly on track, Hamilton could come in and it only cost him 15 seconds of lap time. He already had a gap. The gap was 18 seconds, so he was 3 seconds safe, was Hamilton, in the end. So it wasn't even close. It was obviously going to work under the safety car, and it did. There is Evan, one of the engineers with the trophies. The reason they're all wearing these grey outfits, the Mercedes team, is that there is a charter flight. The only flight out of Sochi tonight, going back to anywhere near the teams or London, is a charter flight. We're all on it. So we'll get this done and then rush to the airport. So anyone in Luton Airport tonight seeing an Alitalia flight come in and think, that's funny, I didn't know Alitalia went to Luton. It's not. It's all of us with some trophies on it coming back to Luton Airport. Here we go. We're all getting together for the photo now. People are starting to form up, and the drivers, we'll see the drivers quite soon. So as for Valtteri Bottas, he inherited second place when Charles Leclerc pitted again and did his team bit. He did brilliantly by holding off Charles Leclerc, protecting, you could say protecting his teammate Lewis Hamilton's position, but he was protecting his own position as much as anybody else. A ripple for Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas. Here we go, we got the drivers. This is all good. Lewis rocking his own designs, I think. These are the Hilfiger own designs. Looks very good. And yeah, Valtteri Bottas still in the race suit. But yeah, Bottas held off Charles Leclerc, despite Leclerc giving some great pressure in that final stint after the safety car, after he pitted for a second time, to hold on and get the second place. But it was Hamilton's first win since Hungary. Back in, well, it was the end of, it was August, wasn't it? No, September. Late August, early September. But where are Mercedes going to pay Valtteri Bottas back? Because he's being very good team guy at the moment, isn't he? And James Vowles, remember in Singapore, James Vowles said, you know, we're going to insert Lewis Hamilton ahead of you on track. Don't worry, we'll pay you back. And I did ask Valtteri Bottas about this on Thursday. I said, are you waiting for James Vowles to pay you back, strategically speaking? And he kind of said, yes, I kind of am. Wasn't today. but maybe it will be in Japan. But maybe you've had enough of teams with their arrangements, because that was what happened at Ferrari today. Nice hug there from Lewis, from Peter Bonington, his engineer, and they're all very happy. Who else can we see around here? Well, we've got everyone. We've got James Vowles, there you go, taking a selfie, or taking a picture, I should say, just on the right-hand side of the thing. Hooray! And another one, maybe? Maybe another one? No? Are we going to get another one? Yeah. Whee! And the champagne goes. Now, you see, they're managing to cake Evan in champagne, knowing full well that he's already changed into his travel clothes to get on that aforementioned Alitalia flight to Luton. And so I pity anyone who's sitting next to him. And if anyone's listening at check-in at Sochi Airport, David Croft might want to sit next to Evan on the plane, because he will stink. Hopefully he has a spare shirt. But we've heard all sorts from them. Just to tell you what they were laughing at, the 4 remaining fans, or the 5 remaining fans in the grandstand, are over there, and we're going absolutely nuts throughout the whole of that thing with their It's Hammer Time flags and Union flags, so they are very happy about that. Right, what on earth was going on at Ferrari with the pre-race deal? Well, it was this. They were terrified, and maybe they were overthinking a little bit, but they were terrified that with Hamilton alongside Leclerc and Vettel behind him, they couldn't, first of all, they felt they couldn't let Hamilton go out in front, get the lead, because then they felt Mercedes' race pace would be so good, that would be a slam dunk lose the race for them. So what they thought was, I know, let's let Sebastian Vettel, who is starting behind Charles Leclerc, draft him, then overtake him. Leclerc could deal with Hamilton. Vettel would be ahead of both of them, and then Leclerc would give the pace back. But it all worked, just like Singapore with the undercut, it all worked too well, didn't it? And Sebastian said, look, this agreement is now not valid. Vettel said, I feel I would have passed him anyway. And so I'm not going to give the place back to Charles Leclerc, and that started all the ructions. I mean, put it this way. I mean, I said in commentary, this is the street fighting Seb. This is multi-21 Seb. This is little Shumi. All right, Lee. This is little Shumi Seb. And it is, and that's true, because Seb is under so much threat from Charles Leclerc, both in terms of pace and position within the team. Charles is starting to build Ferrari around him. Sebastian knows that. In a certain way, Sebastian is starting to feel, I sense, like a stranger in the Ferrari team that he joined all those years ago and wanted to take to championship glory. There's not much Seb can do about that, because sporting-wise, on track, Leclerc is now faster. We've had enough evidence to say that Leclerc is faster. Mattia Binotto says Leclerc is faster than Seb. Laurent Mekies, when I spoke to him after the team boss's press conference on Friday, said that the thing not only is effectively Charles faster than Seb, but Charles keeps on getting faster. He said, we knew how fast he was, but he keeps exceeding our expectations, keeps getting quicker, and that's the thing. So Seb has to be the street fighter, but today in the race, when it all comes to Seb, he can be quicker in the race, and that's what happened today. So it's a really, really interesting dynamic going on. It's just a shame that Ferrari have taken this long to get their car sorted, that they're not in the championship, either championship drivers or constructors anymore, because this would have been just fantastic had they all been fighting, all 3 of them, sorry, I'm getting excited, all 3 of them been fighting Lewis Hamilton for the World Championship this year. As it is, Hamilton's advantage is such that he's probably going to wrap it up in Mexico or the USA. But it does raise a question about Sebastian Vettel's future. Does he want to stay next year? I know he's got a Ferrari contract next year. Does he want to stay long-term in this Ferrari team as he feels it move inexorably away, performance-wise and politically, towards Charles Leclerc, the young Monegasque? Open question for you there. I'm sure it won't be far from Sebastian Vettel's thoughts. Should they have done the deal in the first place? Well, I don't know. You can understand, I hope now, the rationale why they felt they needed to do it. Right, I think that's all we need to do. Yeah, so it's Sebastian Vettel with a DNF. Oh, yeah, I was going to tell you what happened. So very simply, the MG UK, the motor generator unit, Kinetic, it failed. It wasn't giving the extra 160 horsepower of boost through the engine. Sebastian could tell They needed to stop him out on track because had he continued, it would have wrecked the rest of the power unit. That would have been very bad for Japan and the rest of the season. So they told him to stop. He could not come back. Seb wasn't stopping on track because he was trying to, stitch up his teammate, get a safety car and disadvantage his teammate. They told him to stop where he was. And I like that bit of team radio where he said, bring back the V12s. Well, amen to that, you might well say. But in any case, a kind of nothing sort of race for Max Verstappen really today. It was fourth. He pitted under the virtual safety car, did everything right. He was up to P4 and was sort of lapping around 0.2 per lap, slower than Ferrari and Mercedes. Nothing really he could do. And finished fourth, didn't take the advantage of pitting for another time pitting for another time and then putting fresh tyres on and going for the quickest lap, because Hamilton and Leclerc were having a go at that anyway. They didn't really have the pace to do it, and in any case, I don't know, they just felt they didn't really fancy it today. As for Alex Albon, great recovery from the pit lane, having changed the floor to something that might not have been quickest on paper, but something he was more comfortable with because the car has started to get away from Alex Albon. This is a different spec floor from the one he qualified with. He fought back to 7th, and then the safety car transformed his race. He moved up 2 places to P5, and that is a great result for him at the end of a very difficult. The maximum really Albon could have got, having gone from the pit lane start, is P5 right behind his teammate, well, 20 seconds or so behind his teammate Max Verstappen, so that's pretty good for Alex Albon. Good recovery. Not a great day for Renault. They do have a point with Nico Hülkenberg. Daniel Ricciardo is a DNF. He had a hit on lap 1, I should say, with Romain Grosjean, and there was a massive bite. That's Hülkenberg's side of the garage, Lee, but I don't know if you can see the other side, whether you can see the massive bite out of the side of Ricciardo's floor. It was difficult to spot from the pit lane because it was on the left-hand side and they were looking at the car from the right-hand side, obviously. But it looked like a great white shark had bitten a massive bite out of the rear left-hand side of Daniel Ricciardo's floor. He lost a lot of downforce, a lot of performance, and his car was pretty badly affected from then on, and they decided to retire his car before anything else happened. He was well out of the points. As for Nico Hülkenberg, he pitted. It was a long stop. They did have a problem at the pit stop with the jack. They have these quick release mechanisms. So that's a Haas one, but they're more or less exactly the same. And sometimes if you get a trigger or if there's an automatic system which tells the jack to drop because all the wheels have been changed, erroneously given, then it can drop the car before all the tyres were on. And that's what happened with Nico Hülkenberg's car. He lost a bit of time. He was disadvantaged by the safety car as well, but he was in P10. He fended off Lance Stroll to get 1 point. He finished 1 second behind Kevin Magnussen, I believe, even with the penalty to Kevin Magnussen. Did Nico Hülkenberg. There is a rumour, if you weren't with us in practice, that Pat Fry, the man who transformed McLaren's off-season, has been signed up by the Renault team to come and join them in some kind of senior technical role at his old team, the Enstone-based team. He used to work for Benetton way back when, did Pat Fry. You remember Pat Fry? Wears sort of square glasses. Used to be Ferrari technical director, one of the many. But he's a good guy, and the rumour is that Pat Fry is on his way to Renault. The rumour is also that Pat Fry is on his way to Haas, and the rumour is also that Pat Fry is on his way to Williams. But Renault seems to be the front runner in that rumour. Right, let's just do Haas, and then we'll take a break, because we'll done the top 5. And it was a DNF for Romain Grosjean. He was hit from the side by Daniel Ricciardo and out on lap 1. Not much more to say as they rebuild Kevin Magnussen's car. Kevin Magnussen, absolutely perfect timing, spot-on timing. And if you consider that Lance Stroll, who also pitted under the safety car at more or less the same time as Kevin Magnussen, finished nowhere near K-Mag, you see how good that timing was. There was a virtual safety car for Seb. They brought Kevin Magnussen in, transformed his race. He rejoined P6, lost that position to Alex Albon, then lost the position to Sergio Perez, and then defended against Hülkenberg to get P9 at the end, I believe, even bearing in mind the penalty. But it's a couple of points for Haas, maybe that they didn't expect before. Right, let's take a break, and then after, we'll see who this young man sitting on top of a packing case is and what exactly he's doing. Hiya, welcome back to Sochi in Russia, where we're wrapping up the Russian Grand Prix, and we've got McLaren to go. where Somerset's Lando Norris appears to be sat on a packing case. There aren't any naughty words in this song. I'm 45 years old, I don't know what it is. Why have you got a picture of your strategist on your phone?
Do you like it?
I do.
I got a bet with him.
Right.
Want to put a bet on that?
What's his name again? I can't remember.
Randy.
Yeah.
Basically, he's like the king of bets.
Right.
And I made this just for fun, and then he put a bet saying, I bet you won't keep this until Abu Dhabi.
Right.
250 quid. It's the easiest 250 quid I've ever made.
Well, not that we encourage that kind of thing. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't.
Anyway, how are you? Would you like to read what I said about your race?
Yeah, sure. I can't read this, though.
It's like a doctor's.
LN, Somerset's?
Somerset's Lando Norris.
Lando Norris.
That's what I call you.
Q.
Quiet first stint.
Quiet first stint, pitted lap 21 onto mediums.
Yep. Lost out.
Lost out under safety car,
Yep.
true. Lando would have been P7.
Would you have been P7 without losing out under the safety car? This is sweet, isn't it?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, we would have been ahead of Magnussen because his pace wasn't, I mean, a little bit better, but considering he was on new tyres, because he came out the pits like a few car lengths ahead of me. So he did lose out, which is a bit annoying, but it happens.
Look, I've put SC exclamation mark at the top.
Safety car.
Safety car. Because Carlos Sainz had a great start. Sorry, I'm doing the TV bit again. Kept Verstappen behind, but was passed, held on to P6 despite losing P5 to Alex Albon after the safety car, and rescued P6 despite being done over by the safety car here. But 6th and 8th is not too bad.
No. We know it's the first time we've broken triple figures in the constructors in a long time, not ever.
Really? Is McLaren up to...
101. Huge day for us.
It is. I was going to talk about McLaren Mercedes, which I like. It's going back to the glory days of McLaren, you know. I like the McLaren Mercedes. It sounds right. It just sounds right. Yeah. And I put performance is going to be good. Cost-wise, I think it might be good. Reliability, we think it might be better. Don't say anything. Andreas Seidel has made the decision along with Zach Brown, so it's Seidel's choice. And it's not a driver deal. Some people were worried for you, my son, that yes, that Mercedes might, you know, put George Russell into the team. You know, Mercedes might have a driver arrangement, the kind of the way they do with Williams, to put one of their drivers in, but they don't have with Racing Point, and they don't have, you know, they're not going to have here.
No, we're still Team McLaren, so it's we just have an engine in the back, and then we have McLaren drivers.
Cool. Well, thank you very much. Hope this becomes a regular thing. Are you on the charter back to Luton or not?
I don't actually know.
Oh, okay. Well, it leaves in about an hour, so if you are, off you go. Okay.
I'll see you later.
Right. Thank you, Lando. Right, Toro Rosso, Kvyat, P12, Gasly, P14, and Pierre Gasly pitted 1 lap before the safety car. Where are they? Oh, they're over here. Hey, off you go, Lee. You're quicker on your feet than I am. You can have a look at Toro Rosso. Oh, it's Racing Point. Oh, my goodness, I've got the wrong one. Sorry, let's do Racing Point. So Sergio Perez 7th, and Sergio Perez, that's a fine first stint. He pitted before the safety car, but still he managed to keep P7 with good pace, and that's some good points for him. Now, I was saying about Kevin Magnussen earlier on. He pitted 2 seconds behind Kevin Magnussen. Sorry, I was talking about Lance Stroll. Lance Stroll pitted 2 seconds behind Kevin Magnussen under the virtual safety car, didn't get the P7 that Magnussen got, didn't get the advantage, but did get P11. He was just running outside the top 10. He took advantage of the safety car, as I say, up to P11. He closed within 9/10 of a second of Hülkenberg. In 10th place did Lance Stroll. With a game race, I think you could say that, helped by the safety car, and a game race, some decent pace for Lance Stroll. But ultimately, just 9/10 of a second off some points, which must be frustrating. A nice lineup of nose cones on the left-hand side. This obviously someone who's sorting these out has a lovely sense of order and symmetry. So that's very pleasing. That's really pleasing. All those wings lined up there. Right, I can now go on to Danny Kvyat and Pierre Gasly, because they were 12th today and 14th. Sorry if I've already said that. Pierre Gasly pitted 1 lap before safety car, so did actually miss out slightly. But as for Danny Kvyat, he pitted twice under the virtual safety car because there was a problem with the tyres. So that was a little bit of an issue for them. I don't really understand. It wasn't Pirelli's fault. They didn't fit the wrong set, but there was some problem with the tyres. And so he had to pit again, did Danny Kvyat. And that meant that they joined more or less together at the end of the race. Kvyat and Gasly, they were both fighting each other, and they couldn't catch Stroll and Hülkenberg in front. Now, I don't know if you can see the Russian helmet in there, Lee, on Danny Kvyat's side of the garage. The story with this is that there's a slightly balmy and not very kind to graphic designers rule for the FIA that says that your crash helmet must be predominantly the same, and the word predominantly is one that Sebastian Vettel takes slightly advantage of, throughout the whole season. You're allowed one or two jokers to change it for special occasions or tributes or your home race or something like that. But Danny Kvyat has had those two occasions and wanted to debut a special Russian Grand Prix limited edition helmet, and he was told that he couldn't by the fun police at the FIA, otherwise he'd get a penalty. Now, I've looked in to what that penalty might be, and what I've come up with is that it wouldn't be a sporting, so there wouldn't be a reprimand, but it looks like it would just be a fine, because they couldn't give a reprimand. Please, come in. They couldn't give a sporting reprimand which would count on your license because it's not a sporting infringement, if you see what I mean. So it looks like it would be a fine. So that's something for the drivers to keep in mind. They might just want to take that, break the rule, and get a fine anyway if they consider that it's really worth their while. Right, I've missed out Alfa Sauber, so I'll do them now. Kimi Räikkönen 13th, Antonio Giovinazzi 15th. Pretty miserable day for them. Kimi Räikkönen had a jump start. It was quite long and hold on the lights, and he felt, well, he just thought, I think he anticipated it and got it wrong. He did stop, but then got a drive-through penalty. And there was a messy pit stop with down here at Alfa, where a mechanic got the jack caught under the front wing with a problem with the automatic jacks that we described a little bit earlier. And he fell on his bottom, but apparently he is fine. I did check. As for Antonio Giovinazzi, he got involved with the melee at the start. He lost his front wing, had to pit. It was quite a slow stop. He did lose a lot of race time. So after a couple of really good races in Monza and in Singapore, it's back to earth with a bump for poor Antonio Giovinazzi. P15, not great, with a change of wing and a slow stop, so he'll be hoping for more in Japan. He was chasing down Pierre Gasly at the end, was Antonio Giovinazzi, but just didn't manage to get him. Right, well, we've got a minute left, so we'll do Williams. George Russell was a DNF, and Robert Kubica was a DNF. So, double DNF for Williams. Doesn't get any better, does it? But, there'll be freight. There's an interesting thing about the freight, by the way. With the sea freight, all of these teams, this is the set that started off in Bahrain. So the way it works, they've got 5 sets of sea freight. They started the season in Bahrain. This set then went on shipping containers to here in Russia. It's been sitting here for the whole summer, and it's now going to go back on a shipping container. This is all the stuff like grid equipment, grid trolleys, stuff that isn't going to mind just sitting in the middle of Sochi circuit for the whole of the summer. It's now going to go back on shipping containers and go to Abu Dhabi. So this set of sea freight will do Bahrain, the Russian Grand Prix here, and then Abu Dhabi at the end of November. Just an interesting shipping thought, I thought there. Anyway, right, so Robert Kubica pitted twice early on to cycle through the hard tyres to get onto the medium to try and go long. But then he retired, so the team say, to save parts, to save life on parts. Okay, because he wasn't in a position to score points. Well, apart from German Grand Prix, Kubica hasn't been in a position to score points all year round. So I thought that was slightly interesting reason. What the state of the car is going to be like when it gets to Abu Dhabi with these parts that they need to save. But anyway, I can understand why they did it. I think they meant engine parts, but that was the wording that got to me. And as for George Russell, he had a lock-up and had an accident under the safety car. That's it. Thanks very much for watching. The Notebook will return at the Japanese Grand Prix in a couple of weeks' time. Bye-bye.
Sky Sports F1. Feel it all.